citizens and users, citizens of the country and the state as a whole. Uh, Here you see the roadmap of development of the history of the company. So the history was started in 2012. Since that time, we've constructed the Republican Center of data processing with all the certificates and all the necessary technologies implemented. So also the unified Republican network for data communication based on optical fiber lines, which provides for the access to the resources both of the Republican Center of Data Processing and for integration, which can be integrated by the existing mobile operators, other users, internet providers. So this infrastructure has been created. So the unified LTE network been functioning since 2012. I will tell you more about it later. There will be a slide where there are more details about that. So in the line of development of the company, the curve is showing the forecast for the next years, because we are planning G-Cloud to be launched next year for the state customers, state authorities, which will be based on the Republican Center of Data Processing. And also our plans include creation of the unified Republican platform for the Internet of Things. Why not? So a little about the fifth generation. What is that? So everybody speaks about that. Everybody knows that it's coming. And in 2019, we are planning to implement a standard. Like, I think in 2019 we'll manage to approve that. So it will be a standalone 5G solution. So what does it mean for ordinary user? It's a huge step forward in terms of opportunity to provide specific services. And I would even divide it in, I would tell that the second, the third, and fourth generation, it was aimed at users, subscribers, access to the internet, voice calls, etc. And but 5G is different because it's access, it's a new level. It's provision of rendering services to the industry. It's to telecommunications, unmanned vehicles, control, both in the air and on the roads, on the ground. And when we talk about the networks of the fifth generation and the developers of these networks, they're not only developing actually, but they are looking for applied solutions. They are looking at the options, at the cases, and this capacity, at the what actually can be offered to the users, something new, something innovative, like augmented reality games, or which are already tested in Korea, in China. Such solutions are already existing and being tested. Very powerful application in the area of services rendering, which allow people to enter a different world, actually, virtual reality, including games and maybe some informative applications. So smart city also can be mentioned. And you see like how it was developed. 2G, you already have forgotten about that, I think. So, and you see it was primarily development of the broad bandwidths, the speed of the internet. So you see that the fifth generation will be 1-2 gigabytes per second and even more. The slide is taken from the document of 3GPP. It's official document, and they were using it in an official presentation and to show what is this kind of development. Is it evolution or revolution? But I think it's obvious evolution of the standard. So the current situation with 4G in Belarus, so we have more than 1,500 basic stations LTE, and soon we'll have 200 stations in the bandwidth of 2,600, so I think it's quite efficient.
So what's happening with the fifth generation standard? We have been allowed to deploy within 3.5 gigahertz. Nikola Tesla vendor supplied and is deploying their equipment in Minsk. Huawei is going to target the second pilot zone, and we will be able to make comparisons between two companies. And the objective is not to showcase or demonstrate, as they do at the exhibitions, where the arrow hits the 2 gigabit marker. We are closely negotiating with users of this technology in Minsk. That includes the high-tech park, operators, and possible consumers. We want to show how it can be used in your everyday life. Apart from high speeds, it could be applied in telemedicine, in education. We also want to launch an unmanned aerial, unpiloted or unmanned transportation. I'm not going to reveal where it's going to happen. So what is IoT? It's not just sensors. Sensors is the terminus that responds to some events, like a kettle. Kettle sensor will be activated when the temperature will reach 100 degrees. Housing utility meters are very popular now, and that can be collected remotely. This is the top layer, but in order for these things to operate as a system, you can see it states ministries or stakeholders. It's just an example. It's an example of potential architecture of the Internet of Things. At any rate, you will need some sort of a platform that is going to collect and process data. You will need to generate reports or execute utility bills or offer recommendations as to how energy consumption patterns should be modified, and it needs to be stored someplace at some server, some kind of data center or a computer hall. At any rate, this data will need to be transferred to users via mobile operators or internet providers or Wi-Fi or passive fiber optics. It doesn't really matter what kind of conduit you're going to use to connect sensors to the network. And all of these things will need to be done in a challenging environment, technologically and financially. And there is a pathway where each user is setting up his or her own systems, starting from the IoT platform and ending with some contacts of internet providers, and all the way to various sensors, standards, and you can pass through these things many times and do it on your own. This has right to be as well, but it's a pretty sophisticated technology for me personally. And when it's complicated, I try to visualize things, I try to visualize processes, and some associations kick in. For example, here you can see a multitude of users who will have to pass through a difficult path and spend a lot of money to create a unified product. So this is going to be a long, tenuous pathway, and this is my association of what's coming. This is artist Repin's painting slaves on the Volga River, pushing the barge. It's not like I have a feeling that we're moving toward the light at the end of the tunnel. At least I don't believe believe in it for what it's worth. I would, for example, put up this boat or barge in front of the people so that it would make way through the thorny and prickly paths of telecommunication. Is it doable? I think so. I've been listing opportunities and the available infrastructure for a reason, because it can be organic to the Internet of Things in terms of implementing e-health, e-medicine, collecting utility bills, telemedicine, education. I mean, you set up a single platform on whatever is available, and that is a National Data Processing Center. I omitted one fact, and that is the need to create information security systems, which will cost an arm and a leg. So information security safeguards will be put in place, data transfer channels will be connected to internet providers. Everybody stands ready to be integrated. Agencies and ministries are also in the loop. So it's possible to set up an integrated system that will standardize any interaction protocols, and any technology could be used, 2G, 3G, 4G or 5G, passive fiber optics or Wi-Fi. Sensors will follow the same standard. All the data will be saved uniformly. You will be able to generate any reports you want. For me, this is a more intensive evolutionary path. So a new association is like this. This is an icebreaker that is going to break ice and pull smaller ships that won't have to clear the way. It will be done by a leading icebreaker. So with this, I end my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mikhail. We have presents from Big Cloud for all the participants. If you ask interesting questions when we start the Q&A session. So far, we thank Mikhail for his presentation, and we're going to discuss some of the things he covered. So this unified or single platform benefiting all stakeholders, it will be like the Ministry of Truth. What are we going to do with it? As far as I am aware, Beltelecom has a say in it. What do you think about security of the Internet of Things and the prospects that he's been doing? Beltelecom has been dealing with this project for a while. We completed the implementation stage, and the database of users using IoT is over 30,000 people. This service gets expanded all the time, getting new features. We needed a box solution, and it's like a Lego kit. You buy motion sensor, open door opening sensor, gl- window opening sensor, smoke detector, and then at your discretion you purchase what you require on top of that. It's not like you're purchasing, you will be renting this equipment from Bell Telecom. So initially you don't have to pay anything for this equipment. I mean, there is a subscribers fee or user fee like you would pay for television. So we afford a great deal of attention to security. We're fully aware that the data we're receiving on the unified server should be isolated from internet, from public access. Nobody wants to know um, when you come home, what things you turn on or turn off. So privacy is the order of the day. So all channels get encrypted.
То есть сразу подниматься защищенный туннель через сеть интернет. Доступ же наших клиентов
As for
к своему
clients' access to their smart home
также
using a
обеспечивается
mobile
через
app is secured
защищенный туннель,
through an encrypted tunnel.
Android, iOS,
It doesn't matter if it's iOS, Android, or Windows.
саму оболочку, саму
The
сам
envelope
программный продукт
itself, the software itself,
доступ к вашему
has this embedded feature.
через сеть интернет
Regardless
фактически он
where you are
зашифрованный.
located
Сам сервер, где хранятся все данные,
worldwide. And the data itself is also protected using a dedicated firewall. It can repel attacks, unauthorized actions coming from the internet.
У нас был диалог с одной из
We had a discussion with a European company that is doing a parallel project, similar project, and a year ago a question was raised at an exhibition. The question was, to what extent is your smart home protected or secure? And 1 month before the exhibition, there was a situation where one smart home was breached. I mean, all sensors and detectors have been breached and compromised. Our system is intact, has been intact and continues to be intact until now. Bell Telecom has a great experience and we're very careful about privacy, data transfer. No access is available for unauthorized parties. So Bell Telecom tries to bring its game up, and we guarantee security. I would like to wish that you become clients of our service. It operates in a very interesting way. We have a nice assortment of sensors and detectors. Some sensors control lighting in the house, wall outlet controllers, television control, AC control. I mean, anything that uses infrared interface. So the range or lineup of sensors is expanding all the time. And you are free to choose items from this kit to your liking. This panel is dedicated to the Internet of Things, and I assume our audience is technologically advanced. How many people in this room have Bell Telecom smart house? At least one of them. Or maybe there are others, there are lucky owners.
У нас за хорошие вопросы пиздишь, что, да, а за вредные
There is
вопросы платнее.
a
Я
bonus, a
стараюсь, я
prize
стараюсь
for good
завершить
questions.
его хорошо.
No
На
problem, I'll
самом
try
деле
to
я понял
finish
с
off
вашим
my
новым домом
question
в
in a nice way.
2017 году. Там действительно
So I
комплектация
subscribed to the
и
smart
по
home in
даже то, что предполагалось в расширенной
2018,
комплектации, входили только чисто датчики. Вот то,
and
что Михаил
it's only
назвал оконечной
sensors.
точкой,
They
ну,
were
на мой
part
взгляд, я
of the
достаточно высокостепенно
package.
поспорил, потому что получить информацию далеко не оконечная точка. Оконечная точка — это
But
среагировать на информацию.
it's important to
Вот. Сейчас конкретно
respond
услышать о том, что у вас
to
появляются
the
управляющие
information.
элементы.
So I
Но
wish you
вопрос в
had
том,
more controlling
просто
units.
я, ну, одно из хобби, собственно говоря, умный дом. Мы делаем эти вещи
Smart home
для
is
себя,
one of my hobbies.
играемся на основе Raspberry.
We play around
Там
with
в
it,
чем хороша фишка, что это открытая технология. У вас же, я так понимаю,
and
полностью
it's an
закрыто, то
open
есть
technology, which is a
за
good thing.
рамки того,
But
что
in case of
запланировано
Bell
вашей
Telecom,
компанией,
it's a
ограничения
confidential,
зайти
it's a
невозможно.
closed
В
system.
плане разработки сценариев, в плане
It's impossible to
подключения
develop
сторонних устройств, а не только тех,
scripts
которые предполагаются.
or connect
То есть насколько оно вообще, собственно говоря, открыто и
some
настроено на взаимодействие.
outside
На
devices.
самом деле такая проблема была в начале.
Indeed, we had this problem in the beginning. At the moment, there are three suppliers of controlling units and sensors.
У нас сейчас появилась известна такая
Plus,
тенденция,
a new
которая
trend,
в лучшую сторону
which is going to reflect upon
датчики, сенсоры
the rates,
двумя поставщиками,
is that some sensors are equipped by two companies, so we can bring them together to negotiate the price down for the
Какие
client.
протоколы подключены, прошу прощения?
What are the connection protocols? I cannot tell you now.
Z-Way, это
Z-Way is the primary one
сегодня он идет уже с расширением плюс, то есть
with
это практически,
loose extension.
более детализирован, чем
It's
Z-Way предыдущего.
more detailed, more open than the previous generation protocol.
Сейчас вопрос исполняющего устройства.
You also asked a question about the controlling devices. So smart wall outlets that can activate alarms, that can control TV sets, AC units. What is this all going to? Now clients can do the maths themselves, and it does not have to be sophisticated. Let's say your son comes home and there's an immediate push message confirming that someone has entered your home, and there is a picture of that person that you're getting immediately.
Значит, движение
A motion sensor
может сегодня дать команду
can
сообщение вам о том, что
give a command to send a message that there is some motion in the room, or to activate the alarm. Or the lighting sensor has recorded the dimming of the light and commanded that light be switched on. So you are talking about full-fledged security system. Full-fledged security are the people who can arrive, like a response team armed with weapons. Well, this is response team. We don't have a license for that.
So the technologies that are working on the telecom platform. We are told about 5G, and I returned less than a month ago from Los Angeles, and they are already selling 5G devices, household devices, and the network of 5G has been deployed there. And when an infrastructure operator, big cloud, will provide this 5G opportunity, so will you, as an MTS operator, use this? So I think they will be selling this as their infrastructure. Somebody will buy it, obviously. But how 5G launch influence the situation in Belarus? As far as the 5G standard is concerned, there are two main advantages which make it different from current 4G. First, we use wider bandwidths. You've seen already speed in gigabyte comparison of speeds of various standards, and it's like a fixed internet WTTX standard solution, where in places where it's not feasible or more efficient to have this fixed line. So, and this is the first advantage, and the second advantage of the 5G standard is that it's even higher developed standard with low consumption and wide range, long range. And IoT is kind of a superstructure which will become, which make it cheaper and have longer service life, and all these benefits can be used by the mass sector, by wider population and users, and so people will be able to use wide bandwidth. Subscribers will get it, but it's very important the subscriber wants to get it. No, but subscriber consumes a service because he has some demands, needs. For example, he likes to watch a TV and he watches it. If there is some other trendy activity he wants to do, he will do it, and he will buy it. And if this solution is efficient and is helping him to satisfy his needs, he will use it. So this is. So the infrastructure should be in demand, and we will try to improve it so that people are satisfied with it. And we will soon have 5G, but now we'll have the networks that we are using. Yes, narrowband networks we are using. Narrowband IoT is existing currently in Belarus. Which projects are connected with this narrowband IoT? So as a mobile operator, I can name the most innovative technology for IoT. So it was developed to create a platform or opportunity to add some freedom for development of some new solutions on its base. Earlier we didn't have similar technologies used by mobile operators, and the peculiar feature of this technology is it's different from 2, 3, 4G standards, because it's something separate, something outstanding, because it doesn't fall into the range or spectrum of other technologies. It's not overlapping with the voice calls. It's developed especially for data transfer, and it's so well tuned that it doesn't need some specific chips. It has very low consumptions, power consumption of the modems, and it's has much longer range. So, and we can implement a number of cases with it. So we can, for example, monitor consumption of water, gas remotely, the level in the tanks remotely as well, like sensors in the parking lots, pollution sensors, and monitoring. So, and the world of IoT is huge now, and it will become even bigger. And using this technology, we can already now use a lot of benefits that it provides. And there are a number of partners that are developing the solutions based on access to this system. Some are successful, some have some challenges and problems, but we provide consultations and advice to them, and to try to teach them how to use it efficiently. So we have quite positive attitude to that. We think we're only starting this way, and it has not very good perspective. So Vadim, please share your solutions with us, which are already working. So please, good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. I will tell in brief about our devices. We develop them for monitoring of the environment, atmospheric air quality. I will show you two cases which are most interesting. And last one of the is smart city, and another one industrial Internet of Things, which was implemented last year. So this is the industrial case. It's Austrian enterprise in Belarus, a huge factory where we have deployed the network of sensors to provide analytical data and risk analysis results. So there is, it's a very big enterprise, and there were a lot of complaints of people living nearby. So we collect data based on meteorological forecast, and we provide the risk analysis for 24 and 48 hours period. So we inform them that tomorrow, for example, the wind direction will be unfavorable, and so you can decrease your pollution, and then you will avoid some risks of going beyond the limits. So also it's using some wireless technologies because they have dust, explosive dust, so it can also be implemented to support the safety policy. So in here we used 3G, but first we were planning to use our own radio channel, and another one. So that's how it was done. So there was a local meteorological station which transferred data used for analysis and for provision of analytical data. And this is another case which was implemented this year, this summer. This is our device with meteorological station. It was done in St. Petersburg. There was a test pilot network deployed. It's a small mini laboratory, gas analyzer. We have created a highly concentrated network of devices in one of the residential areas. And one, so the infrastructure was developed, provided by Rostelecom, they were responsible for connection, and also they used radio channel. And an important point here is that they have deployed the infrastructure for video surveillance in St. Petersburg. Till the end of the year, they will have 30,000 video cameras connected in the attics, in the basements, and our devices. The problem is that they consume quite a lot of power because there is a heating system, a compress, and there are a lot of power consuming components. So we needed either to have a separate power supply line or POM, power on Ethernet. So that's how it looked like, and these are quite standard residential areas. This is me coming out of the basement, actually, and from the garbage chamber, and actually it's quite difficult to install such a device on a residential house, let alone connecting to Ethernet, etc., because you need a lot of permissions, a lot of certificates. And in our project, we were represented by 7 people, but the customer was represented by more than 100 people, because the integration process of such case is very, very difficult. And this is how ready-made module purchased by the city looks like. So this is a video camera, our gas analyzer, and there will be some other sensors installed, like meteorological station, noise level sensor, and so that's what they are doing in Russia, in St. Petersburg currently. And this is what our customer gets in the end. As we are actually hardware developers, so we use software of American State company for modeling and other similar activities. So you see the map where you see how close the sensors were located to each other. So in Minsk we have 5 hydromet stations. I don't know how many were there exactly, but I think more than 10 devices in 2 square kilometers. And so this is the analytical data that can be obtained. So I took it for the period of 12 hours. You see, so this is the period of 12 hours, and you see, like from starting from 3 a.m. You see from 3 to 6 a.m. we've observed peaks. Peak emissions of solid particles, what have not been detected by the governmental authorities earlier, but we informed the enterprise that, see, like when everybody is sleeping, the enterprise is really polluting the atmosphere. So we informed the people in charge about that. So that's how it looks like, and these are the results. Thank you, Vadim. So we see the commercial component and how it can be implemented. So that was one commercial project implemented by commercial enterprise in Belarus, and the municipal project that was implemented in Russia. Right. What do you think? A state project, is it possible to implement a state funded project in Belarus? Yes, it's possible. We are going to implement several similar projects which there are some which will be funded by the state, but there are some problems. Like, for example, in St. Petersburg, we needed more than a year so to make the technical testing, to demonstrate the devices, to demonstrate what this technology actually is, how it might help to improve the environment in the city, and how the data can be used by the customer, because the final customer is the municipal monitoring center, and this data are going to be used by that, like video surveillance, ambulance, and emergency service. They say that we need environmental data along with all the other data that we already get. And the public officials, they don't know a lot about the technologies. They don't really understand how specific technologies might make their life easier. But so as you see, like common people also are not very advanced in that. So but Russian, our officials are quite progressive. If compared to Russians, they are not worse for sure. And because we have a lot of Western colleagues, Western experts coming or remotely educating them, teaching them how it's showing on their own example how it can be used. And we discussed with Artyom recently, and he said that he read very interesting analytics in GSA. It's an organization that unites all the operators, and they provide some consultations on how the mobile operators can earn money on data of air quality. And this was already tested in Europe, Germany, US, and now it's coming to us as well. Maybe we don't see it yet, but there are a lot of projects related to the Internet of Things, and I see that a lot of projects are developing even quicker in the smart city area, for example, in the post-Soviet area, than in some cities in Europe which are more conservative. So it's not so bad here, actually. And Pavel has quite a lot of interesting statistics related to the Belarusian situation, and also he will tell us about several cases. So please look at the camera directly, then video will be great and photos will be great. No, photos are okay, but the main thing is to discuss the Internet of Things. I really didn't expect so many people to come, and so please don't throw it to me. I'm not a baseball player, so I will not catch it. So the main question which raised every time. Which factors which factors can influence the investors so that they invest in the Internet of Things? There should be probably some common strategy, and if there is one, you have to understand it, of course. And a company conducted a polling, and based on the results of the polling, the scenario is quite optimistic. So this is glass, which is half full, not half empty. And there are a lot of those who are ready to implement these solutions, and 36 are already starting to implement, and 13% are going to implement it within the next 1 or 2 years. So it's all are large enterprises, very prominent ones, like for example we have representative of Belarus here. They also participated in the polling, so large industry. And as you see, our data are not different from the data that have already been presented, so it's going on very well in the transport and logistics area. For example, smart trolleybuses equipped with smart composters, and also in the railway, in the car transport, also in the energy and housing and utility sectors. Everything is very well, very efficient. State sector is also doing okay, like monitoring of the environment, of the forests, using drones and video cameras, and sending data to one single base with analytics of the data. But with the production and industry, it's a little worse. We have only 18% for 17%, and I think it's not enough. And also the medical sector, healthcare sector, only 12%. So a little bit behind. So I think till 2020, the forecast is that $67 million will be allocated in Belarus just for IoT development. This is our budget. So the figures are similar to the industrial enterprises. And people say that we don't have enough budget. What can we do that? So what to do? So if you have some ideas regarding that, please share them. So as far as development of various technologies like Become, Internet of Things, and Big Cloud is concerned, so this is the fact that enterprises need, at least so that they at least don't spend money on development of the platform itself. So, for example, our customers use our platform efficiently, and we are providing not servers and centers, but our platform as build-up platform, which can be used for development of various solutions and the implementation. And there is several examples of what was done by our large customers, like the Metal Works. So using our platform, they installed a network of sensors which are installed on the page, and so that people are prevented from entering dangerous areas, sending a signal to the control room. Also, if somebody feels not well, it also can be monitored and an alarm signal can be sent accordingly.
Trenitalia, Italian railways, they reduced their cost by 8 to 10%. That was spent on maintenance and repairs. 2,000 speed engines are equipped with 6 million sensors. And Rus Agro, another case, Alexander knows this client, they have created a single information space for manufacturers of farming equipment and the buyers. Well, I guess that's all I have. Thank you. What about the budget? Budget is not a crucial factor. The crucial factor is that there is the value of it is appreciated. I mean, if you show economic cost efficiency and value, then the budget will be provided. I mean, have you ever had such occurrences before? A small comment to Pavel's presentation. He provided IDC data, a consulting company which compiled an IoT market report in Belarus. We were contributing to the survey, and I was one of the advisors. And I asked, why bother? I mean, why would IDC, a large consultancy, would want to size up IoT market in Belarus? They said, we have a lot of customers showing interest toward Belarus and they're willing to enter it. So for this purpose, this pool of clients, they arranged a specific study into IoT in Belarus, which goes to show that in the years to come, heavyweight players from North America, Europe, and China might come to us. What about Belarusian companies? I am leading to Belas's presentation. When are we going to have smart trucks? We've had them for a while, I guess. Each truck in Belarus and in Russia and in Europe and Americas coming off the conveyor belt have some sort of smartness or intellect attached to it. You started your presentation since with reference to 1926, but I want to ask, when was the embryo of IoT starting to evolve? Actually, it's not about IoT, it's about sensors. I mean, sensor plus data transmission. When did it all begin? When did it all begin? Alarm systems? Wireless alarm systems? We're talking 1960, the first flight. I mean, the first flight by people. I had the pleasure of conversing with Alexei Leonov, one of the first cosmonauts, and I asked him, how was it up there? I mean, a lot of sensors, a lot of detectors, we had no idea how they work, but somehow they transmitted data to the Earth, monitoring our status. So the technology was in place even then, in the early 60s, and things are going to continue to develop. Machines will get even smarter, delivering a quality product to customers. How much information does a single excavation truck generate per year? Belarus
Нет, где-то в
truck.
районе от 1 до 2, в зависимости от модификации, но минимально это 1 гигабайт
One
информации.
gigabyte
Это так, это то,
per
что
year
важно.
at least.
Если брать всю
Crucial
информацию, в
information.
районе
If we
2
take
гигабайт.
all the information,
Количество
it will
сигналов
be
передачи
2
уже
gigabytes,
сегодня более 2000.
over
В свое
2000
время мы имели ограничения,
various
определенные,
signals.
2007 год, например,
We've
по
faced some
передаче данных.
restrictions in
Мы
terms
имели
of
серьезные
data
ограничения.
transfer
Сегодня
in
эти ограничения
2007, but
снято. У
now
нас
those
разные варианты
restrictions have
передачи
been
данных,
lifted.
это и баджеты, и
And we can
3G,
now
и
use
LTE,
2G, 3G,
Wi-Fi
LTE,
и
Wi-Fi
прочее, прочее. И сегодня машины становятся
connectivity,
умнее.
and the
Раньше мы называли там
trucks are getting smarter and
на большей
smarter.
степени говорили механическая машина.
We
Сегодня
used to
это
call it a
электрическая машина,
mechanical
управляемая
vehicle. Now it's electrical and
телевизионным электронным
mechanical
управлением.
vehicle
Компьютер,
controlled by an
обучается
onboard
датчиками,
computer that
количество этих систем
communicates with
с каждым
sensors.
годом
And
усложняется.
each year the system gets more and more complicated, and its strategy needs to be developed
Должна помочь
for the future
нашему
to
конечному
help
потребителю,
end
соответственно, организации, которые
customers and maintenance
вот межгрупповального обслуживания к обслуживанию потребностей. Сегодня не проблема
companies
собрать
to
данные.
address
Это уже все знают.
the
Сегодня самая главная
current
задача это правильно
demand
обработать данные и дать возможность
in maintenance and repair. As you
восстановлению
know,
какой-то
today
истории,
collecting
которая
data and making forecast for a specific assembly is what counts. We've learned how to do a thing or two, but we're still developing. We're developing, and one might say that in a year or two, a completely new solution is going to knock on our door. There's no secret that unpiloted dumpsters are a reality. I personally contributed to the design of one such trucks, and it's mesmerizing to be a part of it. As a designer, I can tell you that it's mind-boggling, and there is no stopping it. Belarusian companies such as Belarus are planning to keep abreast, right? Yes, in all likelihood, we, like any other large companies like AMTZ or Maz, Belarus is no exception. We are on a threshold, on the cusp, when things turn IoT. And we, in our pool, are going to have an in-house IT company that is going to focus on this particular subject. And this is not looking into the future, this is reality of today. There's a question from the floor. A lady, please identify yourself. No, it's a gentleman. A Doskonalia Systemic company. I wanted to make an addition concerning Belarus. It happened 4 years ago. A respectable gentleman, Yuri Alexandrovich, told us that the Japanese have come to visit us and said that they were going to set up a remote monitoring system for your Belarus, and you're going to know which wheel had a flat tire. So we call our guys, they come with a computer, open a notebook, and ask the Japanese, I mean, which of the wheels is underpumped? Can you show us? And the Japanese close their notebooks, saying, well, if you have that in place, there is nothing that we can help you with. This was just a way of congratulating and praising Belarus for their achievements. Another question, you know, we have Brest, Svetlogorsk. I mean, who is going to allow air measurements, air pollution measurements? But water reservoir measurements is quite acceptable. I mean, do you have any technology in place to measure water pollution? Actually, nothing. We don't have anything at the moment. There's a huge problem, oxygen control, various things. A lot of ponds that require scrutiny to check what nutrients need to be added or limited to avoid algal bloom. For example, Belarus has a lot of water bodies, but what happens in winter time when fish die under ice, and there are no restrictions that I can anticipate here. We are fully aware. I'll try to answer very quickly. You know, we are dealing with atmospheric air and haven't been doing it for a long time. We are the third country. We are a country where death rate associated with air quality ranks the third on the list of main causes of death. So what I'm trying to say is that sensor market development and IoT and whatnot will bring costs down and will help collect data that we could not collect otherwise in the field of environment. And we don't have full understanding of our impact on the environment. What we do is we digitize, as we put it, the environment. You also use those dosimeters, survey meters, right? Yes, that was initial line of activity. Today, americium measurements. Have you heard about americium? Yes, I've heard about americium, but since we're limited in resources and we have constraints financial, we're focusing on the air alone. I wanted to add something concerning the lake. We did a joint project with the National Academy of Sciences of Belarus, but using equipment, expensive equipment, is not affordable for the Ministry of Environment. Artem, I know that you have other projects. I mean, following up on this subject, I already said that MTS used to engage in IoT, engaged in IoT a long time and continue, and there was a telematics equipment for measuring meters of water, gas meters, and there were transport-related projects, logistics projects, but it was all done based on technology, 2G, 3G technology, and mass technology. But now we are talking about a special technology that is even more geared toward the Internet of Things. So we have cases, we have companies that make money on it, make business out of it, and we have special service, for example, MTM, telematic service is what we provide. And then 5G will arrive, but sooner or later there will be a switch to new technology, do you think? Speaking of mobile communication, there will be a coexistence of 2G, 3G, and there will be some sort of migration to BIoT. The number of BIoT cases is limited. For example, there is no voice capability, not possible to transfer video, maybe 100 bytes worth of information that you can send. So it will be complementary to what we have, and we're going to employ new technology with 5G. More interesting technologies are bound to come. Let's take another question. I remember there are no prizes for provocative questions. I don't need any I don't need any prizes. But the cameras are rolling. Let them roll. Unfortunately, nothing so far that I heard about IoT, Internet of Things. I don't think that smart home or automation of enterprises falls under the category of IoT. Well, you can choose between MTS, Bell Telecom, smart home. I have a special relationship with Bell Telecom, and it's a hard relationship. My question is, why do we all need the Internet of Things? We, the Belarusians, I mean, let me start.
We are now living in the fourth industrial revolution epoch. A lot been said about that, and the, the people like decision makers of the world, they are thinking what to do with that, because there is a forecast that automation, Internet of Things, will be developing a lot, but it will also decrease the need in traditional professions, workers. So, for example, even today in the US, the shops are becoming like standalone, automatic, without cashiers, without guards, and in, for example, Belarus will soon probably not need drivers. There will be unmanned vehicles, and it will lead to release of pe- vacant people who don't have any job, and it will need some structural reforms of the economy, and that's how I see it. That's the main point, and it's obvious that the main driver of such technologies as IoT, like family of technologies, approaches, and concepts like that. So we have here colleagues from completely different areas. Some are involved in large-scale integration, working on the level of vision. Some are more involved in practical cases. But the main driver in all the areas is that the vector of the life optimization is changing. So any technology is connected with the optimization of a person's life. So, for example, early have something not connected, now it's connected via the Internet of Things, and as soon as you connect something, just because some technologies emerge to make it cheap and comfortable, so then you think, why shouldn't we monitor not the weather conditions not with one meteorological station but with network to do it even quicker. So earlier we also wanted to make it quicker, but it was not possible. Now it's possible, and we finally can do that. So for example, also there are special assembly systems in production lines that assemble cars or other machines. For example, if there is no person watching that all the time, it can be broken and it will cost a lot to repair. But if you have already made special telemetry and analyzed all the motions of different components of the device, you can avoid that, and it will cost even less, much less than repair of the machine. So these are all different areas where we can implement different technologies and solutions, and all that is connected to optimization of a person's life, people's life. Now, via Internet of Things, we can connect all things, almost all, and we can get information earlier, quicker, immediately, not after we got some problem with health, with the service, but immediately to prevent it, to use a proactive approach. So, for example, people live in a city and then they get sick, systemic disease, which was just progressing during quite a long time. But if we detect solid particles emission earlier, we can prevent it. We can make the government might order the enterprise to reduce the pollution, and that will help to avoid the problem. So, and we are just a chain of people who are doing this job in different areas at different stages of the process. So
начать с того, что
I
можно пользоваться сотнями
so
датчиков.
Belarus is
Эта
equipped with
информация
hundreds
используется,
of
первое,
sensors. This is
это
very
не
important.
телеметрия.
This is not
Телеметрия это когда
telemetry. It's
в большей степени мы
telemetry
даем
is
сведения, а
when
мы даем информацию,
it's
которая фактически влияет на ходимость этого самосвала, на повышение эффективности
uh,
эксплуатации. Как
so
постулат можно найти
our
очень
data
простой такой
it
пример.
improves
Сегодня
to
электросамосвалы оборудованы
the operation of
двухзонной
dump
мотором
truck.
ММК. На
For
нем
example,
установлены навигационные
there is a
датчики.
unit in a
Заложена статическая модель,
dump
конструкторская
track
модель,
where
выявляет
vibration sensors are installed, and there is a
случаи
developer's
каких-то
model.
изменений.
So, in case
Модель
some
выявляет
changes are
аномалии.
detected, the model gets
Фактически
this
на момент эксплуатации стоимость
alarm
затрат
signal, and
зависит
instead of repair of a unit, which costs
Времени можно начать.
70,000
Что такое унитарное
euro,
отношение? Все понимают, что это все внутри
so
двигателя,
because you understand, if one
настройщик,
gear
первый
is
человек
broken, then the whole unit is broken, and it costs, as I have mentioned, 70,000
Мы говорим о том, что
euro. But
унитарное
add on top the downtime
датчик
cost, etc., etc. But using the sensors, we can forecast when we see some future problems coming. We can forecast which of the gears and even which of the teeth of a specific gear might be broken soon. So this is our
фактически позволяет
local domestic solution, and
каждому
it helps to
в оперативном режиме, при этом
forecast failure of a gear or even of a single teeth and to replace it in time, and it costs maybe 1,000 euro, not 70. Of course, we would sell it for 70,000, but even selling it for 1,000 allows us to make a profit, and it's good for us.
это в каждого свое
So,
понятие.
just one.
Давайте мы первый провокационный вопрос.
So, let's finish with the first provocative question and then start with the next one. So, I think to this philosophic question, I will give you a philosophical answer. People, why they are leaving? Technology developing. Why? Because we still can use pigeons to deliver mail, but we developing. We try to make our life more comfortable. We go to the space. Maybe we didn't have to. Why? So we shouldn't stop. We shouldn't be behind the humanity, other countries. So this is optimization. This is a part of the progress. I think I can reply to this question. So you are asking about these devices, right? So our project, as you have already heard, we have a lot of subscribers, and we've got a situation once, and even several situations, when the motion sensor detected motion, sent signal to the apartment or store owner, and video camera switched on, recorded what was happening in the room, but a person he dismounted the camera in the store, but the signal is recorded, and we were able to find the person, and we helped law enforcement authorities, and we were also interested because it was our equipment that was stolen, and and now we are also developing actuators, for example, for window shutters, some system to control or actuate something in the air conditioners, or for example, there is a system when you can remotely send a signal to your house to switch on power outlet, to which, for example, a teapot kettle is connected, and it will switch on, and when you come home it will be hot already. And these are innovations. When subcontractors start to work with us, they get confused with our requirements. They say, "Oh, it cannot be done." We say, "It can. It can. It's possible because our customers need that." And as you see, our subscribers network is quite wide, so our subscribers find application of our services, of these smart house solutions. a question to Mr.
Скажите,
Belkar.
пожалуйста, вы в долгосрочном
So,
будете продвинуться в своей IoT
uh,
платформе, которая на
are you
базе
planning in
насосов,
RMIT
захватить большую часть
platform? Are you
потребителей?
planning to
Может быть, даже
cover
путем предоставления
more
исключительных
users,
прав.
for example, by provision some exclusivity
Договариваться.
rights,
Или вы допускаете
or
существование
do
на
you
данном рынке сильных конкурентов?
do you think there will be some other competitors, strong competitors, or you won't allow that happening? No, we are not trying to create a single company, monopoly. Competition is possible, but it should be substantiated by some economic factors, and we are going to create a really efficient and adaptable platform, adaptable to all kinds of environments and options of application, which would allow a user to get a service as cheap as possible, as easy as possible. Telecommunication and IT communities have been discussing for many years that IoT is quite a complex business where payback period could be quite long, and everybody says that it should be an finished eco model, some integral, comprehensive solution, including not only a smart house or smart parking lots, but it should be some complex eco model which would allow not only to render a service, but to monetize the service, to earn money. So the task is to create a platform so that anyone who has an idea how to earn using this platform, he can come and he says, for example, I need an infrastructure, I've got sensors for air quality monitoring or water quality monitoring, and I want to use your platform to implement this idea, and we can help him. So if somebody knows how and can create similar platform to
Платформы уже существуют, правильно? И к тому моменту
implement
есть
similar solution, why not?
уже какой-то рынок уже есть, правильно?
So I think IoT market is already there, so
Вот на самом деле
it's
другой
actually
вопрос еще.
possible.
Да, Виталий, архитектор, быстро,
Another
принято
question?
сказать. Вопрос, наверное, к Павлу.
So my question is to Pavel. In your presentation, you have shown very interesting solution, but I guess that they are oriented at large industrial market players, and these solutions are very customized, so specific for each customer. Do you think about developing some typical solution for SMEs? Because if we look at the catering business, control of power consumption, how to control consumption of a coffee machine which consumes 5 kilowatts, light and heat and water consumption. It can be used in this catering business, and it would be bringing profit. I think it's a good opportunity for business development, and right, we are now having SMEs as one of the priorities, and it's called general business component. Nice English expression. And we have started a pilot project with Velcom company, mobile operator, and we're going to work with small enterprises. It's not IoT exactly, but it's very close. And we have a lot of developers that use our platform to develop their solution for further replication. So I think our platform can be used by small enterprises as well. I showed the cases of large companies which can apply their own vertical architectural solution on our platform, but we have some scenarios and methodology which can help to create a prototype quickly. So speed currently is very important. It's even more important than equality. And Germans now say that yes, I'm a German. I my quality is a priority for me, but the market demands the speed as well. So I work in an organization dealing with monitoring of environment. Uh, it's like Department of the Ministry of Health, and you mentioned the optimization of life, of the health, and you mentioned some factors interfering with the global deployment of 5G network. So my question is, in 2015, 500 scientists applied to WHO, and they stated that it's not it's not possible to deploy 5G because it's using the waves which produce harmful impact on the health of people. So what do you think? What is the first priority, people or technologies? Do you make similar researches? Are you ready to implement some solution to accommodate, take into account these factors, these aspects, or are you only just using the opportunity because there are no legal requirements still, and you're trying to take this niche, occupy this niche? Because in Miami, Washington, and New York, these are pilot cities for 5G network deployment, but also there is a movement and people who are warning about harmful effects, and there is even a proposition to make a moratorium to make proper researches and to decide if it's harmful or not. I think this is a question. So, as far as the SAP ecology is concerned, there are 12 SDGs. We support them, and it's monitored by all the authorities and experts. And there is. So I think it's better to ask the providers about the safety of 5G. So I'd like to mention that the bandwidth frequency band is still not defined. So 1 millimeter range is being discussed, and the standardization is being provided by specific organizations that take into account the World WHO opinion. But I think this wave emission issue been researched and discussed a lot, and I know the cases when, on the one hand, people from the village ask to install something, some tower, mobile communication tower, so that at least they can call ambulance when they need. But after 1 week after the tower is installed, they complain that now the beers or cars feel worse than earlier, and please remove the tower. So there are different opinions on all issues, but of course we will take into account WHO's opinion and work only in the frequency range allowed. So another panel group is already drinking their coffee, so we also have to finish. And thank you, thanks to all the participants, and we also have presents. I think Mikhail have already decided to whom they will go. So it's a surprise. It's a Swiss-made bag. So I think the first present should be given to this person who raised the issues regarding the water bodies and the cleanliness. The second prize for the provocative question, why do we need IoT? I liked it. So the second present goes to this person. What else have you brought with you? We have only two presents. If you want to give one present from Kurtam, then so please. If you want, if you have another candidate, so please hand it over to him. So I think the person who knows the technology, the smart house, and IoT so well should get this present. And two more presents left. We will give it for the question about IoT center. Should it be single IoT center or does it be some competition? And who else have participated actively in the discussion? Can you remind? To you probably, no? Pavel. No. So this is a blanket from Gurtam. So this is for you. It will keep you warm in winter. So, and finishing our panel, I'd like to mention that there was a question, why do we need all that? And the answer was that we need it, and it will exist and develop regardless of whether we want it or not. And there is a writer, Andrea, who said, well, you can avoid the reality, but you cannot avoid the consequences of avoidance of the reality. So we can shut our eyes and don't use it, but the consequences would be not beneficial. You might say that there is no 5G, no IoT, but it will come anyway. So it's better to be a participant from the very start and to be active in it. Thank you.